All right, so this video is about conflict and ways to resolve conflict and just kind of getting down to the bottom of what caused conflict and everything in between. So the speaker talks about how there's this idea that if annoying people got their stuff together, then conflict wouldn't exist anymore. But this way of thinking in companies or organizations or just in life usually tends to cause conflict because it just makes people say or do things that cause more conflict rather than actually fixing the conflict. So she goes into an example about Amy and Bill, and they were having a conflict that they said was or appeared to be person to person or a departmental conflict. But when she interviewed both of them separately, she figured out that it really wasn't a person to person or departmental conflict. It had more to do with their values, norms, and just the history of the company in general. So she had to get to the bottom of it and figure it out. So she goes into this 5-step program that she has. And the first step is to just rule out that one person that seems to be the source of the conflict. An example of this person could be a bully who just kind of says or does things to make them appear better than everyone else and kind of work their way up the ladder, or someone who's incompetent who just kind of fakes their way into a job, and then if this person gets promoted into a position that they're not capable of handling, it causes conflict in that way because they don't know what they're doing, so they don't know how to handle everything, and it just causes conflict from there. So you just got to completely rule them out. Step 2 is to ask the right people the right questions, and that basically means if you're trying to find what the conflict is in a situation and what the source of it is, you wouldn't go ask someone who is completely unrelated to the conflict what's going on here, because they aren't going to have any idea what's going on. So you have to get to the bottom of it, get to the source, ask the people who are involved in the conflict what's going on, and you have to ask them the right questions, which the example she used was just ask them, like, what do you think goes right here in the company, or what drives you nuts about this company, and basically just get an idea of what they think, and then from that you can piece together what is causing the conflict. Step 3 is alignment, and alignment just means you have to make sure everyone has a consistent understanding of the goals in the company, make sure everyone knows who's responsible for what decisions, make sure that everyone knows who does what to whom, and this kind of helps, well, it'll help the company run better and could potentially limit conflicts. But she just said that even if you have someone who means well, they're still going to have disagreements. So by doing this, it kind of helps you get to the bottom of it and figure it out. Step 4 is to find allies at all levels in the organization so that you can implement the change that you're trying to make. So she says how if you don't have a critical mass of participation, it's going to be really hard to change something. So, I mean, if you're trying to make this big, huge change in the company, it's going to be really hard to do it if you only talk to one person or a few people in the company. So she said that you have to make allies or friends at every level, so then you can make sure that you can have people help you implement this change you're trying to make at every level, and then you're not trying to do it yourself or do it with one other person, and it just makes everything a lot easier. The 5th and final step was to teach new habits for managing differences people may have. By doing this, it will help people to deal with the strong feelings that come with disagreements, because I mean, in every disagreement I've ever had, or I'm sure that you guys have ever had, you have the norms and values that you have, and they have their own norms and values, and you both strongly believe both of these. So when you start butting heads, it's hard to deal with these strong feelings that come up, because someone might say something that you don't like, they might say something that you don't like, and then it just kind of causes more conflict from there, and it just doesn't get anything done. So by teaching new habits to deal with these, it helps to just kind of deal with these feelings that you have and get things done the right way. After these 5 steps, she talked about things she uses to resolve conflict. The first thing she said was lizard listening, and it's basically just kind of think before you say something and finding ways to say things that need to be said, but in a positive way rather than in a aggressive or negative tone. And by doing this, it makes the conversation more persuasive and positive, and you just kind of get rid of the negative ideas and thoughts and ways you can say things, and then it just helps to resolve conflicts. The next thing she uses is the evil logic check, which is people tend to think others are evil when they annoy us. So they're probably not an evil person, but you just kind of get this idea in your head when they start to annoy you or do things that bug you. And because of this, or this idea of that person being evil usually comes from some form of pressure, fear, or threat that you have. And then she goes into elephant cards, which there's always things that you need to say that are important, or just like something truthful that needs to be said and talked about, but sometimes it can be uncomfortable to talk about, so you don't always say it because you don't want to put someone else in an uncomfortable situation, or you don't want to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. So she says that these elephant cards, you basically just can play them whenever you want, and once an elephant card is played, then you're kind of getting rid of the elephant in the room, so you can talk about this uncomfortable situation and then get it out of the way, so that you can resolve whatever conflict that was a result of this situation or thing that was happening. And then she just kind of ends it by saying how you have to truly understand what is underneath every conflict, and by doing this, it'll help you positively resolve the conflict and help you get stuff done in your organization, school, whatever it may be. So basically just be positive and try not to be a negative person and get all these negative thoughts in your head that'll make you think someone's bad or whatnot, because it'll just cause more conflict from there on.